Role number 40, the Chief Decarbonization Advisor.
Yeah, so this role is essentially the CFO whisperer of climate action. It's a fractional role, meaning, they aren't an in-house employee. They advise multiple massive
It's
portfolios.
like national hospital networks or something.
Exactly. Hospitals, university systems, global retail chains, and they can earn up to $1.85 million.
But wait, what are they actually doing to justify nearly $2 million? Are they just walking into a boardroom and saying, hey, you guys should use less energy?
Not at all. What's fascinating here is that the engineering solutions for a hospital, they're already known. The friction is entirely corporate.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, these advisors are creating decisive action plans that have to survive three massive hurdles. CapEx fear, which is basically a board's sheer terror of spending capital, operational disruption, and internal politics.
Operational disruption.
Yeah.
So like the fear of having to shut down an active ICU just to install a new ventilation system.
Precisely. The advisor figures out the sequencing logic. They basically act like a traffic cop at a really dangerous intersection.
Making sure everything flows.
Right. They determine exactly what upgrades happen first, what waits until a scheduled renovation, and crucially, what should absolutely never be done out of order. So the hospital doesn't waste tens of millions of dollars having to rip open a wall twice.
Okay, so the advisor gets the board to say yes and sequences the physical work. But once you commit to those upgrades, you suddenly have to prove to the world that you actually reduced your emissions.
All right, the verification part.
Yeah. Exactly, which leads directly into the next major friction point, and role number 39 on the list. The carbon credit eligibility architect. Capping out at $2 million a year. This just sounds incredibly dense.
It is dense, but it's so vital. We all know carbon credits in real estate can get incredibly messy. A large building owner might claim, hey, we offset 1,000 tons of carbon. But the boundaries of how they measured that are really vague.
And double counting happens all the time.
All the time. So this role is the person who makes those messy credits completely clean and bulletproof.
So they aren't the ones designing the building. They're like building the legal and documentary spine of the environmental claims.
Exactly. They design the verification structures so that when external auditors or regulatory bodies come knocking, the claims actually survive scrutiny.
Because if they don't.
If those claims collapse, the financial penalties and the PR disaster for the company are massive. So a $2 million salary, that's just a cheap insurance policy against a $100 million fraud scandal.
That makes a lot of sense when you frame it as risk mitigation.
Mm-hmm.
But what about the actual financing of the hardware itself? Number 38 on our list tackles this. The Building Electrification Deal Structuring Consultant.
Yeah, if we connect this to the bigger picture, the electrification of large buildings like replacing gas boilers with massive commercial heat pumps, it usually fails at the deal level.
Oh, really? Not the tech level?
Almost never a technology failure. It's that the math is broken. The financing is just too clunky.
How so? Give me an example of how this consultant actually fixes the math.
Okay, so imagine a retrofitting project that costs $10 million, and it has a terrible 20-year payback period. A normal board rejects that immediately.
Right, obviously.
But this consultant steps in and starts structuring the deal. They grab a $2 million federal grant. They layer on a massive local utility rebate for peak load shaving. Then they shift the performance risk of the new equipment onto a third-party insurer.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So suddenly, a project that looked like a financial black hole now has a 5-year payback period.
I love the way the source phrases this. It says, they make electrification feel financially rational, not like a moral chore.
Yes.
It's not about hugging trees. It's about a solid internal rate of return.
Yeah.
But I have to pause our countdown right here because we are hitting number 37. And I genuinely need you to explain this one to me.
Uh-oh. Which one?
The Green CapEx Investment Memo Writer. Earning up to $2.25 million. Come on. Someone is making over $2 million a year basically just writing Word documents.
I know. It sounds absurd on the surface, but you have to understand the leverage involved here. These aren't like standard office memos summarizing a Tuesday meeting.
Right.
This is a highly premium, incredibly niche skill set. What this person is doing is translating incredibly dense engineering outputs into rigorous investment logic.
Wait, break that down for me. Why can't the lead engineer just present their spreadsheet to the bank or the board of directors?
Because a bank underwriter and an HVAC engineer speak entirely different languages. The engineer's spreadsheet is full of kilowatt hours, thermal bridging coefficients, system efficiencies.
Right, total jargon to a banker.
Exactly. The board of directors only cares about risk, return, rent premiums, and exit valuation. The memo writer translates technical truth into financial truth. They write the narrative.
Oh, I see.
If their 15-page document unlocks a $50 million capital expenditure budget that was previously frozen, paying the writer $2 million is just a tiny rounding error for the developer.
Okay, when you put it that way, if you work in a standard corporate job where $100,000 is a great salary, hearing about a guy making $2 million to write memos sounds insane.
Right.
But when you realize he's the only key to unlocking a $50 million vault, it is a total bargain. And speaking of financial truth, that brings us to the last role in this segment. Number 36. The Sustainability Due Diligence Lead for Acquisitions. They cap out at $2.4 million.
This is the truth layer role in mergers and acquisitions. When a massive piece of real estate changes hands, any hidden sustainability risk instantly becomes a massive financial liability for the new buyer.
You mean like discovering a building is in a flood zone after you already bought it?
That's part of it, yeah, but it's increasingly about regulatory compliance. So imagine buying a 40-story commercial high-rise in a major city. You think it's a great deal.
Okay.
But what you didn't realize is that the city just passed a strict new energy code. And because this building has terrible outdated windows and a gas boiler, you will face millions of dollars in annual fines starting in just 2 years.
Oh, wow. So you just bought a massive liability?
Exactly. This due diligence lead screens the asset before the ink is even dry. They find those red flags, calculate the exact cost of the required upgrades, and tell the buyer exactly how much to adjust their purchase price down before the deal closes.
They prevent buyers from purchasing future carbon headaches. Fascinating. All right, let's keep moving down the list. We are shifting from people who work on individual asset deals to people shaping broader corporate and data ecosystems. Segment 2, the systems and intelligence builders. Starting at number 35, the climate tech partnerships broker.
Yeah, this is the ultimate matchmaker in a space that desperately needs one. On one side, you have the architecture, engineering, and construction firms, the AEC industry.
Right.
They are building things that literally cannot fall down, so culturally they are extremely risk-averse and very slow to adopt new software.
Construction is notoriously stubborn.
Exactly. But then on the other side, you have climate tech software startups and sensor vendors. They're funded by venture capital, and they're under immense pressure to move fast, break things, and grow revenue exponentially.
That is a total culture clash. You have a zero-risk culture colliding with a high-risk, hyper-growth culture.
And that friction is exactly where deals die. This broker understands the languages and the pain points of both sides. They step in and design pilot projects that aren't doomed to fail from day one.
So they act as a bridge.
Right. They structure revenue-sharing deals or reseller pipelines that allow the tech vendor to scale and the architecture firm to innovate without taking on unacceptable risk. They earn up to $2.6 million just for making these complex marriages actually stick.
Which flows perfectly into number 34, a role that fixes an internal corporate problem for those exact same giant architecture firms. The large firm digital practice monetization strategist, earning up to $2.8 million.
Oh, this one is brilliant. Big architecture and engineering firms often have massive internal cost centers. They have teams doing building information modeling, which are those incredibly complex, data-rich 3D models of a building.
Right.
And they have performance analytics teams. These people are doing incredible digital work to figure out exactly how a building will perform.
But the firm isn't making money directly from that data, right?
Yeah.
It's just part of the cost of designing the building.
Precisely. It's just seen as overhead. So this strategist comes in and turns that overhead into a massive revenue engine. Instead of just handing over the 3D model and the data analysis to the client for free at the end of the project, they productize it.
How so?
They create subscription models for the client to keep using the data to run the building. They license the firm's proprietary workflows. They figure out how to sell the firm's digital brainpower as a standalone product.
They are entirely changing the business model of the architecture firm. Speaking of selling brainpower, number 33 is the Global Code Trend Forecaster. This is a subscription-based model capping out at $3 million. And the source makes a very clear distinction here. They aren't reporting the news, they are forecasting policy shifts.
And this raises an important question, right? Why does a real estate developer care what the code might be in 5 years? Because a major development project takes 5 to 10 years from initial design to actually opening the doors.
Right, it's a huge timeline.
If you design a building today based on today's building codes, it might actually be illegal or face heavy fines by the time you finish building it in 2031.
Oh, because the city might ban natural gas hookups or mandate a certain level of solar power by then.
Exactly. This forecaster tracks global policy trends and provides a highly actionable matrix for developers. It tells them exactly what to do right now to future-proof a building that won't even exist for another decade.
That is the definition of highly leverageable knowledge. Now, as we hit number 32, we get to the Sustainability Standards Interoperability Architect, earning up to $3.2 million. This is another one that sounds like word salad to me. So as we hit 32, is this person basically the ultimate universal translator for green acronyms?
What's fascinating here is that the sustainability space has basically created a monster for itself. It is an alphabet soup of standards.
Tell me about it.
You have different rating tools like LEED or BREEAM. You have various corporate ESG reporting frameworks. You have strict carbon accounting schemas. And the terrifying part, none of these databases talk to each other.
So if I'm a massive real estate company, I have to have my team enter the exact same energy data into 5 different spreadsheets for 5 different agencies.
Yes, it is complete reporting chaos. Companies are wasting tens of thousands of hours on duplicative, error-prone reporting. This architect solves the friction. They're that universal translator.
That makes so much sense.
They design a unified underlying data schema. They build the missing glue so that a property manager enters a data point once, and the architect system maps it cleanly and automatically across all the different required frameworks.
To cure the spreadsheet nightmare.
Okay.
We're moving deeper into the list, and we are about to cross the $3.5 million salary threshold.
Big money now.
Yeah, we are leaving the realm of individual consultants and strategists, and we are entering the world of founders. Segment 3, the scalers. These are the people building media, tools, and marketplaces to fix industry-wide friction. Number 31 is the environmental design intelligence publisher.
Yeah, so this is someone running a highly curated, premium paid community. We aren't talking about a generic web forum or a free newsletter here. Busy, high-level professionals pay a premium subscription for access to this intelligence because it saves them hundreds of hours of research.
Right, the source describes it as delivering high-signal toolkits and decision frameworks. It's the don't reinvent the wheel community. If you are an architect and you suddenly need a reliable playbook for designing a low-carbon exterior wall system, you don't have to spend 3 weeks researching it.
Exactly.
Someone else in this community has already built it, tested it, And this publisher delivers that exact checklist directly to you.
It accelerates the entire industry by sharing what actually works.
At number 30, we have the Venture Studio Operator for AEC sustainability tools, earning up to $4 million. But I have to push back here a little bit. We just talked about massive architecture firms. Why wouldn't a billion-dollar firm just build these software tools themselves? Why pay an outside studio operator $4 million?
It's the classic innovator's dilemma combined with corporate bloat. A massive architecture firm is designed to design buildings, not to run agile software startups.
Fair point.
If they try to build a carbon tracking app internally, it gets bogged down in committee meetings and takes 3 years. This venture studio operator uses portfolio logic. They operate completely outside that corporate bureaucracy.
So they are building multiple things at once.
Yes, systematic entrepreneurship. Instead of putting $5 million into one massive software idea that might completely fail, they rapidly build and test 10 small tools in sequence.
Like what?
A quick retrofit ROI calculator, a simple compliance dashboard. They test them in the real market, see which two get actual traction, kill the rest, and double down on the winners.
That makes total sense. They are absorbing the failure risks so the big firms don't have to. Down to number 29. Platform founder of a low-carbon vendor certification network.
This role directly attacks one of the biggest friction points in the entire green transition, the supply chain. How do buyers actually know a vendor is truly low carbon and not just slapping a green leaf on their logo and calling it a day?
Greenwashing. If I'm buying 1,000 tons of steel, how do I know the factory actually used renewable energy?
You don't. The supply chain is incredibly opaque. This founder creates the trusted layer. Their platform rigorously verifies documentation, digs into supply chain transparency, and enforces quality standards.
So it's a vetted network.
Right. Suddenly, building owners and massive construction firms can procure materials safely, knowing they won't be exposed as hypocrites later. The founder earns up to $4.2 million through vendor fees, certification fees, and enterprise data licensing.
Which flows perfectly into number 28. Platform founder of a circular materials exchange. They max out at $4.5 million. This is a regional marketplace specifically for reclaimed and reusable building materials.
We have to talk about embodied carbon here, because we spend so much time talking about the energy a building uses while it's operating, but the carbon emitted just to manufacture concrete, forge steel, and transport it to the site, it's staggering.
Just massive amounts of emissions.
Think about the physical waste when a commercial building is demolished. Perfectly good steel beams, massive architectural glass, surplus stock, it all just goes to a landfill.
So this platform matches that salvage the demolition inventory with brand new construction projects.
Exactly. By facilitating the logistics and the marketplace for reusing physical, heavy-duty materials, they are actively and massively slashing the embodied carbon of new construction.
It's like high-end, heavy-duty thrifting for skyscrapers. That is brilliant. Okay, we are at number 27. The carbon-optimized design marketplace operator, earning up to $5 million. They connect big projects with highly specialized experts like embodied carbon consultants or low-carbon specification writers.
Specialized talent.
But as we look at these matching platforms, how do they guarantee outcomes? If I hire a consultant through this app and they do a terrible job, the platform's reputation is ruined. They're just making empty claims.
The source is very clear on this mechanism. The promise of the platform relies entirely on credible, ruthless quality control. They heavily vet the specialists before they are even allowed on the platform.
So not just anyone can join.
Not at all. They standardize what the deliverables must look like, and they use rigorous performance measurement to track the results. If a project uses an expert from this marketplace, the carbon reduction has to be real and verified. If the platform loses that trust, its entire business model just vaporizes.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting. We have reached the final stop on our deep dive down this list, the absolute pinnacle of productization. Number 26, the Net Zero in a Box productized consultancy founder, the highest earner on our list, capping out at an astonishing $5.5 million annually.
This role represents the ultimate evolution of everything we've talked about today. They have taken the bespoke, highly customized, and often chaotic world of consulting, and they have completely productized it.
Net Zero in a Box. What does that actually look like mechanically?
Well, in traditional consulting, you charge an hourly rate, say $300 an hour, to figure out a custom solution for a client. The client doesn't know exactly what it will cost in the end, and the consultant's income is strictly limited by how many hours they can stay awake.
Right, you can only work so much.
This founder ditches that entirely. They sell standardized, assembly line delivery packages with a fixed scope and a fixed price.
So instead of I'll consult for you for 6 months, it's you can buy a 2-week net zero readiness audit for $50,000 or a 4-week electrification roadmap.
Yes. But to get to the point where you can package something as wildly complex as a net zero roadmap into a box, you really have to earn it.
What do you mean?
You have to do enough messy, bespoke projects first to spot the underlying patterns. Once you see the patterns across 50 different buildings, you build rigid templates, dashboards, and checklists that cut your own delivery time in half.
And because it's systemized, you aren't selling your personal time anymore, you are selling the system. You can hire junior staff to run the templates, and the quality doesn't drop.
The secret to hitting $5.5 million is that you stop marketing your billable hours and you start marketing guaranteed outcomes. It's the difference between being a lone artisan, handcrafting a single chair in your garage, and designing the automated factory that flawlessly stamps out 10,000 perfect chairs.
Wow. So what does this all mean for you listening? We just went down this incredible list of 15 roles.
Mhm.
We talked about CFO whispers, sequencing hospital upgrades. We talked about carbon finance engineers building legal spines. We talked about universal translators fixing data schemas and marketplace founders creating heavy-duty thrifting for skyscrapers. And not one of them is physically drafting a floor plan. It proves that the sheer variety of paths to revolutionizing the built environment is vast.